Now that we've seen the need for some timers in that last video, let's talk about those two timers that are not the hello and hold timers, because we know what those are. The hello is 3 seconds, the hold time is 10 seconds. Hello is how often they're sent out, and the hold time is how long you're going to wait to hear from a neighbor before considering them possibly down. Now here, I have brought router 2 back online, and I've run show GLBP with the filter, and these can be really handy, or a pipe. And then I just said begin forwarder 1, because this way it takes us all the way into the show GLBP output where forwarder 1 and then everything after that is. And that's what we actually want to watch with these timers. I'm not going to give you a diagram here because I want you to see exactly where things are just from this output. And things are right back where they were. Our MAC address, our virtual MAC address ending in 01, the active router for that one is 23.3. The virtual MAC address that ends in 02, its active is 23.2 or router 2. And then finally, the last MAC address, virtual one we're using ending in 03, that is the local router, which is router 1, and that's the one we're on. Now, we see a couple of timers in here. We see one, it's called Time to Live. And that seems to be our bigger of those two new timers. Let's go on ahead. I want to run show GLBP. Can't say it, can't spell it. So here we go, and here's the full output of show GLBP. And the reason I wanted to show you this is that all of our timers are right here. You know, here's hello time 3, hold time 10, but redirect 600 and forwarder time 14400. Those are the two that I want to really concentrate on right now and tell you exactly what those mean. The redirect timer, that's when that one times out, when it hits 0. At that point, the current AVG will no longer use the virtual MAC address in question in its replies. And what we're going to do is take router 2 offline again, and as we saw in the previous video, router 3 took over the workload for handling traffic sent to the router 2's virtual MAC. Router 3 is not going to do that forever. And one reason router 3 is not going to do it forever is that our AVG is going to stop sending that address in its replies. The other value, the forwarder timeout, the much larger one, 14,400 seconds, at that point, the router that was using the virtual MAC along with the virtual MAC itself, they're both removed. They are flushed from everybody else's table. So when that hits, if that hits after we take router 2 down, and we're not going to sit here and watch it for 14,400 seconds, but if that did hit 0, then finally that particular AVF, router 2, and its virtual MAC would be flushed from all the tables. It would be like it never existed. So to watch one of these timers tick down a little bit, let's go ahead and head back over to router 2 first. What do you mean destination unreachable? There we go. Don't tell me. So let's go ahead and do a conf t interface fast 0 and a shut again. Tell me destination unreachable. I built these destinations. So let's go ahead and use our filter again. So we're just looking at the forwarder information. We should start getting some messages here pretty shortly. And there we go. We've got a couple of state changes. Forwarder 2 has gone from listen to active. Forwarder 2 has gone from active to listen. And we can also use show GLBP brief right now just to check things out, see where they are. And you can see that we are, again, just like in the previous video or 2 videos back, that router 1 has taken over the role as the AVG. It's got a priority of 125. That's exactly why. We know because it says active here, and then it says local under active router. And then finally, our standby is our only other router, which is 23.3. We can also see that router 3 is the active router for forwarders 1 and 2. So it is handling data that's coming in with a destination MAC of 0007B400, 0101, and 0102. Let's check those timers again, though. And we can see a couple of things going on here. First off, notice that our redirection enabled clock has definitely gone down, because it would have been at around 600 seconds. Now it's at 524. And we see time to live has gone down to 14,324. And we'll just run it again now to refresh, and you can see it's continuing to go down. And the redirection enabled is down to 500 seconds. Time to live is 14,301. Don't pay attention to the maximums because they're going to be right now like 1 second over that. That's not really what we're watching. And let's run it one more time. And we can see that another 20 seconds has gone by. So here's the deal. When the redirection timer hits 0, router 1, our AVG, is no longer going to put this virtual MAC address 0102 in replies to hosts. It's no longer going to say, here, use this MAC address for your data. Now, with time to live, at that point, when this finally expires, and you notice it takes a lot longer, at that point, the VRF that was using that virtual MAC, which was router 2, and that virtual MAC address itself, they're flushed out of the GLBP group totally. Seems kind of harsh, but it does finally happen. So before we take a look at how to change those timers, let's go back to 5. And we're going to bring that back online and let it cook a little bit. Because the timer command here is a little bit different. It's still intuitive as HSRPs is, just not as intuitive. And there are state changes. We'll do a show GLBP brief. And we see everything's back to where it was. The standby router hasn't been named yet, but it will be in a moment. And we see that router 2 is the AVG again, local router. And it's still sorting out the AVF roles, as you can see, because it's got router 2 listed for everything. And we'll just give that a few more seconds to cook here, so to speak. We've got some messages coming in. There you go. Again, this is great that you're seeing it live, because I know I said this in the video before that, but we're so used to things being so fast. Like in spanning trees, you change a cost and it just takes a millionth of a second. GLBP takes a little bit longer, but finally we do have everything back the way it was before we shut router 2 down. So let's take a look at that timers command. And we've got GLBP1 and the timers part. That's pretty easy. Now, if you're going to change the hello time, you need to put that here. Again, I wouldn't get into milliseconds. I leave that certainly up to you. You can see the the range is 1 through 60 as far as change the hello time. So if I wanted to change that to 4 seconds, I would just enter a 4. And notice then that I still have to enter a hold time. You got to put one in. So I put something like 15 in. So if I had this final command, GLBP1 timers 415, if you need to look at that command, you better know which 2 timers we're talking about, because we have 4 of them here. And if you just see GLBP1 timers and then 2 numbers, you know you're setting the hello and hold time. If you are setting the redirect timers, we would put redirect here, specify timeout values for failed forwarders. The first one is your redirect timeout, which makes perfect sense. And we'll just go ahead and set that one to 1800 seconds. And then finally, the timeout interval in seconds for failed forwarders. That's when we just finally get fed up and throw the AVF and its virtual MAC out of the picture entirely, or out of the group entirely. So that one's pretty high, but I'll just go ahead and really cut it down to 3600 seconds. And that's it. And, Cisco routers really don't give us messages like this too often. So when they do, I tend to pay attention. And this one says forwarder timeout is less than the default ARP cache timeout of 4 hours. So the thing is, I believe, matter of fact, I know that the command did take effect. The redirect time is 1800 seconds. The forwarder timeout is 3600 seconds. But the router is strongly suggesting to us that we don't make that second timer less than 4 hours. So what I would do after seeing that is just do a quick conf T. And I'm going to put a no in front of those. And that doesn't delete the timers, because that's not possible. I hope. Let's find out. And you can see the redirect time has been set right back to 600 seconds of its default. Forwarder timeout 14,400. So now we've actually seen the redirect time and the forwarder timeout start to tick down. We know what triggers that, and also we know what they're for. So we have the timers down cold. In the very next video, I believe we're going to do a little bit of tracking and we didn't have a track option in GLBP. It was something called waiting. So take a deep breath, take a little break. I'll see you on that video with another intense lab. See you there.